So you can obviously see in front of me a gorgeous pork loin. This one is about 3 pounds, and what we're going to be doing in this episode is stuffing it with a walnut, raisin, and herb stuffing, and then we're going to be wrapping that in some prosciutto and roasting it in the oven. It's a really delicious way to work with pork that adds flavor from the inside out. And so I'm gonna get started with the stuffing first. This is a very, very easy recipe. Just a bunch of walnuts. It's about half a cup, about a half a cup of raisins. And then I'm going to be layering in rosemary, thyme, and also sage. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of salt right on top, along with pepper, and then I'm also going to toss in a couple of garlic cloves to my pile here, and then I'm gonna run a knife through everything. One of the reasons why you put salt in at this stage is that kind of like when you see how salt will wilt vegetables, what we're doing is by including the salt as we're chopping it, it's helping to break these ingredients down a little bit more thoroughly and start pulling all of that flavor out of them. It smells amazing in here right now, all the garlic and herbs. This is the kind of dish that is very easily adaptable to any flavors that you would want to include. If you wanted to do dates or dried apricots, if you wanted to exclude garlic and instead do onions or shallots, there are so many different ways that you can play with just this basic technique to really maximize the flavor of your pork roast. So, we already have the stuffing chopped up. I'm gonna move this to the side. Here is my pork loin. This is about 3 pounds, and you can see there's a nice amount of fat on top. I wanna leave that intact because that's going to help to keep a lot of moisture in the roast as it's cooking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to butterfly this and open it up, and that's where we're going to be putting the stuffing. Put this on my larger cutting board. It's pretty simple to do this. You just kind of open it up like a book. And we want as much surface area as possible so that we can have all of that wonderful stuffing really shine through. Okay, so we have our pork loin. I'm going to generously salt and pepper the interior. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add in my stuffing. I'm going to put just a touch of olive oil in the stuffing to help bind it and mix that up. I'm gonna press that into the meat so that it really adheres. And we're just gonna roll it up. Our loin has been stuffed. What I'm doing now is I am cutting lengths of kitchen twine that are going to be long enough to wrap around this pork loin, and I'm going to arrange them on my cutting board, and then I'm going to lay the slices of prosciutto on top of that and then put the loin on top of that and wrap everything around. That's the easiest way to accomplish this. So I'm gonna get that done pretty quickly, and then I'll show you how to lay out the prosciutto. So I'm just laying these out at about inch and a half increments. The idea is to have enough so that none of the filling falls out and the pork loin actually just retains its shape. So I have salt and peppered my loin. I'm putting just a touch, just a teeny tiny bit of olive oil. And then I'm gonna transfer that over and wrap it all up. Now, all I need to do is tie these guys off, and then I'm gonna pan sear this. I have just a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and I'm just kind of swirling to coat. I have it at medium high. And once it comes up to temp, Then I'm going to sear this on all sides. Then what we're going to do is slice up an onion and put that in the bottom. We're gonna stick it in the oven for about half an hour to roast, and that's all you have to do. All right. So I'm gonna let this rest undisturbed for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to flip it and flip it and flip it so that it gets nice and seared on all sides. So we're seared on all sides. I'm gonna quickly take this out and just move it to the side. I'm just gonna deglaze the pan with a little bit of water. And stir that around, get up all that wonderful, wonderful juice. And then I'm laying in my onions. The pork is just gonna sit right on top of these onions while it's cooking. It's a really simple and fun way to do pork loin. Okay, now we're putting this bad boy right back into the pan. Now I'm gonna pop this into a 375-degree oven for probably about 40 minutes or so until it reaches the right internal temperature, and then that's it. We're gonna make a quick pan sauce and we'll be finished. You want to take your pork out of the oven just a little bit before it's entirely done, because it will continue to cook with all of that residual heat as you're letting it rest, and all that moisture is going to be pulled back into the roast. So while this is resting, I'm going to take the pan over to the oven and I'm going to make a quick pan sauce with a little bit of white wine. So what we've created here is a little bit of pork heaven, essentially. All of that fat from the loin, as well as the prosciutto, has kind of melted into the bottom of the pan along with these onions, which have cooked really, really gently. And so I'm going to add in just some dry white wine. Any dry white will do. And I'm just going to kind of cook this down and concentrate all of those flavors. And when this is finished, then we're going to slice up that pork and we're going to serve it. This cooking method really helps to preserve the moisture in the pork. You have the fat from the walnuts and the olive oil that I've put inside the stuffing, but then outside wrapping in that prosciutto really protects all of that wonderful porky goodness.